Hello students. So students, we have almost completed 4 lessons of English. Namely, like first lesson was about a poem, Mr. Nobody. Second chapter was a lesson, School with a Difference. Third was again a poem, Whistle Away, and fourth, Bachendri Pal. Okay, so we have completed the 4 chapters, and I hope I have sent you the worksheets. I hope you are completing your worksheets, your projects you must have completed, and I hope you are reading the notes also of these lessons which were sent to you. And as you know that we are going to have an exam, a small test in the second week of July. The timetable and portion is already, you must have seen it. So today we will do a sort of revision of the first chapter. Okay, now the first chapter is about a poem. It's a poem, Mr. Nobody. Now Mr. Nobody, if you remember, it's a poem about why it is named Mr. Nobody, because it is all about, not we are talking about not any particular specific person. We all do mistakes and then avoid responsibilities and embarrassment by pretending as to who has done. I have not done it. Like in your homes, you do small blunders, right? You may spill tea or milk, or you break by mistake. You must have mislaid the pages kept, or these things we all do normally at home. So particularly in this poem, the poet has spoken about, he has referred to like small everyday slip ups and accidents that is part of our routine lives, like the mislaid or damaged shoes, clothes, the squeaky furniture, woodwork, broken crockery, the upturned ink pot, then misplaced pages, the wet firewood. The poet is referring to all these things in that particular poem. And as if you have read the poem, you will see all these terms mentioned in the poem. Today we will start with the revision part. You will see some questions, and let's see whether we are able to answer those questions. I will also help you. Okay, so on your screen you see English revision chapter 1, Mr. Nobody. Now the question given here is, tick the correct answer. Now, which kind of wood was put on the fire? Now there are options given: A, dry, wet, and damp. Okay, now this, you remember Mr. Nobody, he had put the damp wood on the fire. That line is there in the poem. So the option has to be damp, right? Okay, now next, what did Mr. Nobody pull out from our shirts? Okay, now beads, buttons, and thread. This particular line is also there, as if you read the poem, or if you have already read the poem number of times, you will be able to recollect. So the correct option has to be B, buttons. Next, question number 3. Whom did the boots belong to? Now, if you remember, in this particular line is in the last stanza of the poem. The last two lines. Whom did the boots belong to? A, Mr. Somebody, Mr. Anybody, Mr. Nobody. Okay, so the answer has to be Mr. Nobody. We move further. Who was a funny little man compared to? Now in the first 2 lines, the funny little man was compared to a rabbit, a cat, a mouse. Now if you remember that first two lines, the funny little man compared to the second stanza was as quiet as a mouse. So the answer is mouse. Now, next, what does the squeaking door always do? Squeaking door, the door makes sound, that squeaky sound. What does it do, always do? The option is screech, scream, squeak. So the squeaking door always squeak. Squeak is the correct option. Next, now we come to the next question. Select the correct answer. Now it's like you have to just click in the true, whether it is true. When you read the sentence, you will come to know whether it is true or whether it is false. Let us see what is the sentence given. First one, the oiling of the door is done by Mr. Nobody. If you remember, this verse is there, this line is there in the poem. The oiling of the door is done by Mr. Nobody. So is this line true or false, students? It is true. So the answer is, you have to put a tick in the option A, that is true. Now we come to the next one. That kettle cannot boil. Now why will the kettle not boil? Because if you remember, Mr. Nobody had put damp wood. The wood was damp, so it will not burn. So the kettle will not boil. So is this statement correct? Yes. So it is option A, true. Let's move forward. Now, number 3, as quiet as a snail. If you remember the first two lines of the poem, it is actually as quiet as a snail. No, it has to be it was as quiet as a mouse. So which option are we choosing? This is not the correct one, so this is false. So we are choosing option B, false. Now here we come forward further. Choose the word that doesn't rhyme. If you remember, in that particular poem, there were certain lines, the words used to rhyme with each other. Now let us find out what we are supposed to do is, we have to choose that word which doesn't rhyme. Okay, so now let's see what are those words. Okay, now mouse, there are 3 words given: mouse, face and house. So now mouse and house, they both rhyme with each other. So which is the word that is left out? You remember the question, you have to choose the word that doesn't rhyme. So which is the word that is left out? That is face. So you have to put a tick on the face. Now we come to the next. Now here again you have 3 words: made, door and fade. Now here, very simple, made and fade, they rhyme with each other. So which is a left out word? It is door. So you have to select door. Now next one, here it is, there are 3 words: mud, soil and boil. So it's quite simple, students. Soil, boil, they rhyme with each other. Now which word doesn't rhyme is mud. So we have to select mud. Isn't it easy, students? I'm sure you all will be able to do. Next. Now we come to our main question over here. Choose the correct rhyme scheme. If you remember, in a poem, teacher has taught you how to make a rhyme scheme. So now, let us see which stanza we can find here. Okay, I will read the stanza for you. I know a funny little man, as quiet as a mouse, who does the mischief that is done in everybody's house. Now what is expected? What are we expected to do? We are supposed to make a rhyming scheme. And there will be option given. So let us see in the next. See, there are two options given, A, B, C, B, and second one is C, A, B, A. Now let us see, look at this stanza. Look at the last word of the first line, man. So that will be A. The next line is, the last word is mouse. So it doesn't rhyme, so A, B. Now the third line is, the last word is done. So A, B, C. And again the fourth line is in everybody's house. Okay, so A, B, C. Now house and the second line of the last word, mouse and house, they rhyme with each other. So what will be the rhyming scheme, students? It should be A, then B, then C, and again it will be B. So A, B, C, B. Let us see whether we have this A, B, C, B. So which is the correct option? Which are we choosing? We are choosing option number 1. So the correct rhyming rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. I hope you are getting it, students. Now, here we have another stanza over here. He puts damp wood upon the fire that kettles cannot boil. His are the feet that bring in mud, and all the carpets soil. Now this is one more stanza of that poem. Now you look at the last word of the first line, fire. Second line, last word is boil. Fire, boil doesn't, so fire is A, then boil is B. His are the feet that bring in mud. Again it doesn't rhyme, so C. And all the carpets soil. So now boil and soil. So the second one is B and fourth one is soil. They both rhyme together. So the rhyme scheme will be A, B, C, B. A, B, C, B. So let us see the next option given. So what should be the correct option? It was A, B, C, B. So the option second is the correct answer. So we are going to select the second option, A, B, C, B. Now choose the right answer and tick. You have to just, whatever question is there will be answers given, options will be given. Maybe one is the right answer and another is not the right answer. You have to choose the right answer and put the tick. Okay. Now, what does everyone agree upon? What is the question? What does everyone agree upon? Now, let's see what are the options given. First, everyone agrees that all the tasks in the house is done by Mr. Nobody. Everything is happening in the house, but nobody is taking the responsibility as to who has done it. So it is assumed that Mr. Nobody has done. This is the This is what is given in the poem. Let us see the second option. Everyone agrees that all the mischief in the house is done by Mr. Nobody. Nobody is taking responsibility, so it is done by Mr. Nobody. So this particular word mischief is given in your poem. So what will be the correct option, students? The correct answer is number 2. Okay, so everyone agrees that all the mischief in the house is done by Mr. Nobody. So the answer for that question is the second option. Everyone agrees that all the mischief in the house is done by Mr. Nobody. Let us move further, students. Now, the question given here is, why does the kettle not boil? Why does the kettle not boil? If you remember, I said a bit earlier also. Why does the kettle not boil? Because Mr. Nobody had used damp wood, so the kettle would not boil. So let us see what is the options given. Okay. 1. The kettle does not boil because Mr. Nobody broke the kettle. Is it so? Did you read something about Mr. Nobody breaking the kettle? I don't think so. So let us see the next option. The kettle does not boil because Mr. Nobody had made the wood damp. Yes, this is the correct option. This is the correct answer for that question. The kettle does not boil because Mr. Nobody has made the wood damp. So the correct option is the second option. The kettle does not boil because Mr. Nobody has made the wood damp. So students, we have covered this first lesson. Likely answers. I'm sure you will be able to. It's very simple. You will be able to find the answers and do any sort of questions given to you. You will be able to find the correct answer and correct options and tick the answers. I hope you will be able to do the rhyme scheme also. Okay, so in the next class we will do the revision of the chapter 2. I hope, and you please keep on reading that poem again and again and start revising, students. Have a nice day.